Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back in to the garage. Now in today's video, we're gonna be covering a very small, literally, maintenance step in the ownership of your third generation Toyota 4Runner. But the cost is minimal, the time is minimal, and the return is big. Now, many of you, I bet, have never even heard of this, nor checked it on your third generation Toyota 4Runner, and that is the O-ring for your oil dipstick tube. That's right, the tube that your dipstick travels through has an O-ring at the base where it meets that oil pan. And that O-ring does what every O-ring will do over time. It hardens up and it loses its ability to really retain the oil or the liquid in that location, and you could form a leak. Now, these third generation 4Runners are beasts, and if you own one, you know better than anyone else that that is a true statement. But one thing I know a lot of owners out there do is chase these oil leaks. Now, there's some common culprits like valve cover gaskets or oil coolers on these third gens, but this is a spot that I really never heard about until, well, I heard about it. So I hope you guys will do this maintenance on your third gen, because frankly, it's so easy and it's another thing to do that allows us peace of mind and eliminates that potential for a leak in that location. So to me, and I think to you, it's really, really rewarding. So it's a high return. Now listen, if you like third generation Toyota content or other automotive content, check out my channel, the shorts, and my library of videos. I really think you guys will find it valuable and hopefully entertaining. And I certainly appreciate all the subscriptions and likes that you provide. It means a lot to me, and it lets me know that this content is reaching you and, most importantly, helping you with your automotive ventures that you do on your own time and in your own garage. So as always, thank you so much for the time. And if you do this maintenance on your 4Runner, leave a comment in the video and let me know how it went and let me know how it feels to get it done. Hey, thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Well, it's another beautiful day, and it's a great time to get a small yet very important job out of the way. And the star of the show today is this little guy right here, which is O-ring part number 96721-19010. And today, we're going to be replacing this O-ring on my third generation Toyota 4Runner. Now, I bet some of you have never even heard of this part or even thought about replacing it on your third gen 4Runner, but this is cheap and takes a very small amount of time with a very large impact. You see, this O-ring is actually the O-ring that goes to our oil dipstick tube, and that O-ring meets at the base where the tube inserts into our engine and into the pan. So over time, your O-ring from the factory can essentially wear down and lose its functionality, and you can accumulate an oil leak in that location. So today you'll see me replace this on my rig, and this is a very, very low cost item, and it doesn't take a lot of time. And as you can see, you won't need a lot of tools to successfully complete this job. I'll include a link in the description of this video to where you can find this O-ring for yourself. You'll probably be shocked at how little it costs. So let's get after this job and show you guys how you can do it on your own rig. So today we're going to be working on this oil dipstick tube, and this is where it's located on our third gen 4Runners. You should be familiar with this. I hope you are. And it's only held in by this 110 millimeter right here, and it's on a bracket that's actually integrated to that oil dipstick tube and located right here on the alternator mount. Now, if you follow this dipstick tube down visually, you're going to come down to this location right down here. And that is where the oil dipstick tube enters and where that O-ring is. Now, since that's a bit of a tight spot, I'm going to go ahead and readjust and show you guys with a flashlight a bit of a better view on what I'm talking about and what can be happening and could be happening on your third gen.
All right, guys, so here it is, and this is probably the best view that I can gain for you. Now, if you follow that dipstick tube down, and it's not too far, you're going to find this is where it enters into the base and where it enters into the oil pan below. Now, the dipstick tube is that one tube in the middle between those two bolts that you're looking at. I don't have a hand free as I'm holding the flashlight. Otherwise, I'd point it out a little better, but you'll probably see it as we go through the job here today. Now, as you can see, there's an accumulation of a lot of gunk there. Now, that could be one of two things. It could have been from the valve cover gasket, and I did that job recently. Now, most likely, it's literally from this O-ring wearing down and from some oil leaking out from where it is. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this oil dipstick tube out. We're going to clean the surfaces that are existing here,
And the reason why we're going to clean it is because we want to know how well it's working when we replace it. And if I don't clean all this gunk off, how am I ever going to know if this is working or not? So we're going to go ahead and start the process by cleaning it before we remove the tube. That way we don't get any debris or foreign material into our oil. Let's get after it. So here we are in the driver's side wheel well, and this is a bit of an access point to be able to clean off this base where the oil dipstick tube enters. And I'm going to try to utilize every access point I can without trying to take off our skid plate here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and use this little panel puller to remove these panel clips. I keep panel clips kind of on hand because, you know, when you do work on your vehicle, you find out they're old and brittle and they break a lot. But to be honest, when I do remove them, I try my best to not break any. Now there's one up here above our strut. There we go. And with 1, 2, 3, looks like we removed 4 of them there. With those 4 removed, we can peel that back and probably keep it just like that to get a better angle of where we need to clean right up in here. I'll show you guys a better view here. All right, guys, so you guys are still in the driver's side wheel well, but I'm up top, and I wanted to point out exactly where we're working here so you can get a better visual. This is our spot that we're looking to clean off. Now, if I just take my finger here, I bet you can tell that this thing has seen some better days. Pretty nasty. So that's our tube right here, and we're gonna work on cleaning this off now with some shop rags, a little bit of degreaser, and maybe even a little brush. And yeah, we'll get it cleaned off looking better. All right, guys, so I wanted to show you the best way I could in regard to how I cleaned this successfully. I did end up taking off the skid plate, which is 5 12mm bolts to take it off in one piece, and that's so that I could reach my arm underneath. Now, if I sound a little weird right now, it's because I'm currently leaned up against the driver's side front tire. I articulated the tire at full tilt, essentially away from the driver's side. So I'm leaned up against it, and what I wanted to show you is kind of the access path. Here's my hand coming up from where the skid plate would be, up underneath while I cleaned this portion all throughout there. So that's kind of the visual of how I got it. Again, it's through this flap in the driver's side, and I used some degreaser, some brushes, some flathead screwdrivers to clean out all the nitty-gritty places, and I've lost 2 good gloves in the process. But it's really not that hard. I might sound a little out of breath, and that's because you got to kind of do some yoga to get in this spot and to get out of it. So make sure you have everything you need when you get into it. But that's how I got it clean. So let's go ahead and proceed with taking that dipstick tube out and changing this O-ring. Now, I would regret it if I didn't tell you guys that I actually also hooked up the air compressor with the blowgun and used that to clean off that portion down below that we just spoke about. So now we're going to move on to this little guy right here, which is the dipstick tube. You don't have to take the dipstick out. And what you'll do here is take this 10mm and remove it. All right, there we go. Easy enough. We'll set that over here. Make sure you don't lose it. Now, as soon as you remove that, you'll be able to tell you've got a lot of play. So guess what? All you do is pull it out. Grab it. Pull it up towards you. And here we are. And that is where your O-ring should be. As you can see, really dirty. Doesn't look good at all. We're gonna clean it up. We're gonna make it look awesome. And we're gonna get that new O-ring in there. Let's go get it. All right, now that we have our dipstick tube successfully uninstalled, I am going to pull my dipstick out, and we will set that over here on the workbench just outside our view. And we're going to work on cleaning this up. So first thing I'm going to do is take some degreaser. And we're going to let that sit on here a minute. I'm going to take this steel wool pad, which is actually a quad 0 or a 4-0 steel wool pad. And we're going to try to attack this and get some of this dirt and corrosion off of our dipstick tube. These steel wool pads are excellent. The extra fine or the 4-0, you can pick them up at your local hardware store, and they do an excellent job. Got a lot of oil buildup there, so we're going to scrape that off. Now, I've talked about this kit I got from Amazon, and you're going to see me use a couple of components on here, both this pick tool and now this puller tool, which I'm actually going to use as a scraper. You know, it's just such a fantastic kit. You can use it for so many different applications, and I'll provide a link in the description of the video here if you guys want to check it out. It's honestly, it's such a low cost, and you get so many different items in a really nice kit that you can zip up and kind of keep organized, which I love. So I definitely encourage you guys to check it out. It's well worth it. So we're going to use that to scrape off that excess, and we're going to keep cleaning. Nothing fancy here, just some good old elbow grease. Well, we've got our oil dipstick tube cleaned up, and I'm feeling really good about it. Now we're going to address right inside here, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's an accumulation of gunk from oil, and it has kind of clogged up this tube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little scraper tool, again from that kit, and I'm going to work inside of here, get this out. One thing that we're also going to do while we have this off is we're going to run some liquid through this tube and try to get it clean and clear of any debris. You got to think, your oil dipstick travels through this tube, and if it's not free of any debris, it can get caught up, jammed, and make that whole process a little bit tougher. So while we have it out, let's clean it out, do the right thing, and make sure that when we slide that in there, that dipstick's going to travel freely. Wow, what a difference this has made, and I hope it is coming through to you guys. Now, some of y'all might say, why do I clean this? Like, my engine bay is not that clean. Why would I bother cleaning it? And I just got to tell you, my recommendation on cleaning these components and keeping a clean engine bay is simply so you can identify issues quicker. You know, if I kept this just as dirty as it was, then I would never be able to tell if this starts to leak again or if that's where the leak and the accumulation is coming from. But cleaning this and keeping it clean allows me to go back and review the job I've done over time and see if that job is working. So that's why I would encourage you guys to keep a clean engine bay and to clean this while it's off of the vehicle. Now, I wish I could have shown you guys the process of cleaning out the inside of this tube. But what I did is I took some purple power and I sprayed it down in this tube. I got some really hot water and filled up the tube with water and degreaser. I held both ends like this and just kind of let it sit and swash around for a while. And I did that 5 different cycles. And I just got to tell you, I would never have expected what came out to come out. So I would encourage you guys to do that. It was
quite satisfying, to be quite honest. But after we did that, I took the air compressor and the blowgun and blew it out and let it air dry. So that's where we sit right now. Now, with that said, let's get on to changing this O-ring out, which you can clearly see has seen better days. So this is where our O-ring is located on the oil dipstick tube, right down here. And I'm going to show you guys a comparison of the old versus new once we get this off. But again, I'm going to use this pick tool here, which comes in that kit I've been talking about. And this O-ring is most likely almost, yeah, it's dry rotted. So it actually cracked the ring in half. And wow, so you probably didn't catch that, but the other half of this shot off about 37 feet in that direction. So that's how bad of shape that O-ring was in. Not only that, I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but it's flat, you know, it's just dead flat, has no elasticity in it. And yeah, so you can tell how important that is. So now that we have the old O-ring off, I'm going to wipe this portion down where the O-ring adheres to, just cleaning the surface just a little bit. And I'm going to do that again with my steel wool pad and some degreaser. Just getting my fingernail in the edge there. I want to clean out any old, you know, particles or anything that might have existed from the old O-ring. All right, we've got that nice and clean, and now you can clearly see the channel that our O-ring goes into. So we're going to get our new O-ring and we're going to place it just like that. And look at that, guys. I'm telling you, how easy is this? And what a great feeling it'll be putting it back in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reinstall our oil dipstick tube into the 4Runner. So let's take it over there and get it done. Now before installation, you see that we do have a location here on where that oil dipstick tube installs back into, and that is that hole there that you see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get back down into my spot in the driver's side wheel well, and I'm going to carefully clean all of that with a microfiber towel and try to clean that out, again, as carefully as possible in order to not get anything into that oil. So I want to clean that out before putting the oil dipstick tube back in there so that it seats in there as cleanly and nicely as possible. All right, guys, so there it is. This one's a little bit of a toughie to get clean. Obviously, you got to take a little bit of time. I had that pick tool, some scraper tools, a little tiny flathead screwdriver, and of course some rag and degreaser, and that helped me get it to a point where I felt good about. So now that we got that portion clean and it's looking a lot better, let's go ahead and get the dipstick tube placed in its spot. Okay, guys, we are finally ready to put this back in. And what I do is I have some oil here, and I'm going to just rub the oil around the gasket just so that we have a little bit of an easier time putting that gasket and seating it back into place. Now, when you're routing this, it is important to keep in mind how and what direction to route this tube through, as we want to do it in the same way that it came out. And so, as you can see, we have routed it here in between a hose and some electrical wire, and we have it seated right down in this location. Now I wanted to give you guys a better view here and show you exactly how I routed it, which is how it came out. And the tube is actually routed in between this electrical wire loom and that hose, and then it runs and bends down into that location where you can see it is inside of its final resting place. We just haven't compressed it yet. So let's go ahead and push it down in there and get it seated. All right, so now we know and we feel confident that it is where it needs to be. We know that this bracket is going to line up right there. Just take your hand and you're going to want to push down with some pressure.
There we go. And I'm sure you could tell it did take quite a bit of pressure. Make sure just to use your hand, and you don't want to apply it in the wrong manner, because directional force, you don't want that tube to bend and create a bigger problem there. So here's what we've got. We've got our 10mm bolt here that we're going to thread back in place. All right, we've got it secured and nice in place there. And while we had our dipstick out, we went ahead and took the opportunity to clean that up, and it looks fantastic. So it's that easy, guys. A job well done, and I hope you guys find really value in this, because in these third generation 4Runners, we can be chasing leaks, and for something that's so easy to fix and takes so little cost and time, this is really well worth it. So I'm going to give you guys one more shot here from the driver's side wheel well before I put it all back together and we call it a day.
All right, so here we are post installation, and guys, I'm proud of this job. This actually is quite satisfying to know that we have replaced a completely dry rotted, worn out O-ring with a fresh O-ring, and we won't have any problems with this moving forward. Let's get everything tidied back up.